Even if you're a huge Miami Vice buff, you might not remember too much about this episode because it seems designed to fade from the memory cells as soon as you watch it. Free Verse was directed by John Nicolella and written by Jim Trombetta from a story idea by Trombetta and Shel Willens. It's one of the rare clunkers in the otherwise exceptional Season 2. Vice is charged with protecting Hector Sandoval, a poet from an unnamed Central American country where he'd been imprisoned for his leftist political leanings. Sandoval is played by theater legend Byrne Piven, father of Entourage star Jeremy Piven. After picking up Sandoval at the airport, the Vice squad takes him to a safe house where he's reunited with his daughter Blanca, played by a chorus line star Yamil Borges. As you can see by the way he just kind of casually gropes poor Trudy's knee there, Sandoval is a lecherous blowhard and a high-maintenance pain in the ass. He demands to be allowed to go to various parties and receptions, despite the very real danger he's in. So the Vice gang accompany him to a black tie gala at an art gallery in a sequence that's worth it just for the chance to see Switek and Zito in their pastel tuxedos. There's a small side plot in this episode where Zito reveals himself to be a poetry buff who engages Sandoval in discussions of various poets. As the second season goes on, and as the characters of Switek and Zito receive greater development, they've moved beyond their original purpose as bumbling comic relief who are mostly around to screw up assignments and make Crockett and Tubbs look especially awesome by comparison. Their shift into greater competency is a welcome development. At the reception, Sandoval is ambushed by a beautiful assassin. She's known as La Muerta, and she's played by Bianca Jagger, actress, activist, Studio 54 mainstay, and one-time spouse of Mick. La Muerta whips out a gun to kill Sandoval, but she's shot by Tubbs before she can pull the trigger. Blanca causes a stir when she brings her old friend Manuel back to the safe house, because Blanca, like her father, has a very shaky understanding of the concept of a safe house. Gina and Trudy are suspicious of Manuel, who is played by Hector Mercado, so they trail him to a bar. As Feel It Again by Honeymoon Suite plays, Manuel is approached by a group of thugs who shoot up the place and drag him off before Trudy and Gina can stop them. Vice raids a home where Manuel is being held and rescues him relatively easily. Despite being in a wheelchair, Sandoval gives Vice the slip and goes out for a night of partying with attractive young women. At a club, where thrash metal band Suicidal Tendencies plays their song Institutionalized, Sandoval gets drunk and picks fights and fires a gun in the air because Blanca had, for some damn reason, slipped her flighty and unstable dad a gun. Crockett and Tubbs retrieve Sandoval from the club, but in the meantime, Blanca gets kidnapped by thugs who want to exchange her for her father. Vice rescues Blanca and thwarts her kidnappers. Everything seems to be resolved, and then Manuel tries to shoot Sandoval. It turns out he's an assassin working for a group of left-wing guerrillas, as opposed to the right-wing death squads who are also targeting Sandoval. The guerrillas want to kill Sandoval to make him a martyr to their cause, but as Bruce Cockburn's Maybe the Poet plays, Crockett and Tubbs shoot Manuel before he can shoot Sandoval. Other guest stars in this episode include popular actor Luis Guzman, who is making his second Miami Vice appearance. He's credited as Goon Number 1, and he gets so little screen time that I can't even find a full shot of his face. Goon Number 3 is randomly played by Michael Bay, the director of Pearl Harbor and Armageddon and all those Transformer films. Michael Bay is very, very famous, and plenty of photos and videos of him exist on the internet. I know exactly what he looks like, and yet I can't find him for certain in this episode. By process of elimination, I'd say he has to be this guy, who has kind of a similar long nose and long jaw to Bay, but who otherwise looks nothing like him. If anybody out there knows for certain where Bay is in this episode, please let me know. I've spent far too long trying to track him down, and it's made me feel like a failure. In any case, I find this episode both messy and tedious. I have a sneaky hunch we're supposed to find Sandoval roguish and charming, but he's awful. He paws young women, and he behaves like an entitled jerk. I like the idea of Miami Vice wading into the morass that was Central American politics in the mid-'80s, because the unending string of violent revolutions and corrupt governments in Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, etc., was a very big news story throughout the decade, and one that seems like it could work as kind of a metaphor for the unending hopelessness of the drug trade in Miami that lies at the core of Miami Vice. However, this episode really doesn't have anything interesting to say about it, so I'm going to give it 2 flamingos. Next time, Crockett and Tubbs team up with a renegade pilot to catch a group of pirates. There's a Gilbert and Sullivan-inspired pirate joke somewhere in there, but it would require a lot of workshopping to get it right, and I'm not even sure it would be worth it, so I'm just going to move on. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you here next time. Goodbye.